WYSL.
Now, an hour of clarity for exhausted people of our nation mired in toxic partisanship. Left versus right, us versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
Welcome, everyone, to A Free Solution. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm here live on WYSL until 1 p.m., so if you want to participate in the conversation, give me a call, 585-346-3000. And, of course, shout out down the line to our friends, also listening over at WACK out in Newark, and WENY, the Patriot, down in the southern tier, and my friends listening online. See a few of you popping on the YouTube channel, A Free Solution, the Facebook page, A Free Solution, and my Twitter, my Facebook page, too, the Kevin Wilson one. Thank you all for being here and being a part of the conversation. There is a couple of interesting topics that have come up. And of course, Happy New Year to everyone. I know I did a Friday show with our friends from the Liberty Show, but Happy New Year to everyone. I hope everyone's New Year's celebration was wonderful. Mine was very boring. I sat at home. I watched that new Disney Plus movie, Soul, which was fine. Watched like 2 minutes of the saddest New Year's celebration I've ever seen, and then went back to watching some Star Trek. That was my exciting New Year's weekend. I didn't go out, sat in, did nothing. But that's how it goes. I probably would have done that with or without COVID. That wasn't a COVID-related thing. That's just how my last couple of years have been. All right, but I wanted to talk about some news that happened over the weekend in threats to the Republic and the Constitution that come from both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. Because I think there is legitimate erosion of the process in the understanding of how we need to protect the Republic. It's now becoming an ideological position that we need to stake out protecting our form of government, that it's important for the people to have a say in electing representatives and making decisions in how our government operates, how it works. We've gone away from that. This isn't a Democrat thing, although there are Democrats like Andrew Cuomo doing it. This isn't just a Republican thing, although I don't really like what President Trump is doing. It's a both parties thing. And if we the people don't stand up to this, we will lose our republic. Benjamin Franklin said, this is a republic, if you can keep it. This quote after coming out of the Constitutional Convention. A slight misquote, but very, very close to what he said. So we'll talk about what's making the national news, what's making the mainstream media all upset right now. And, in this case, I think that there's some stuff to actually be upset about. It's the President Trump recorded phone call with the Secretary of State, with Mr. Raffensperger, and his lawyer, who is Ryan Germany, I think his name is. And so there's this phone call. There's an edited version of the phone call that's like 4 minutes long. That's the one that's making the rounds the most. There's also an hour-long version. I've listened to maybe like half of like the unedited version. It's really not much better, to be honest. So in this phone call, if you haven't caught on this stuff yet, basically President Trump is calling the Republican Secretary of State of Georgia, Brad Raffensperger, and saying that the election was illegitimate there, that there was cases of fraud. So nothing particularly new. What's new about this is President Trump saying, well, not only are these cases of fraud, which Brad Raffensperger and the lawyer on the phone said, well, no, there's not. There's no evidence of that. But he keeps saying things like, well, what you're doing is you're meddling with an election. There are legal consequences to that. There are criminal consequences to that. He accused them of participating in a criminal act, which is kind of dangerously close to threatening people who are trying to run an election with crimes, who are, again, trying to tell President Trump that no, this is how the process worked. This is what it is. The things that you are accusing elected election officials in Georgia of doing are not based in evidence. He brought up some of the Dominion voting machines being changed out. There's not evidence of that. I know this is going to make some listeners upset, but there's no evidence of that. It's not there. And guys, I swear, sending me a screenshot of something from Parler is not evidence. That is not what evidence looks like. Because a few of you have done that. Thank you. I love talking to you. It's not actual evidence though, so some weirdo on Parler, I don't care. No, like look at what the actual court document says. They can't find enough evidence of people who have voted illegitimately, of created ballots, of people who voted who are dead. There was all of like 2 that they could find. 2 people. That's not enough to overturn the election. I know it's close. I know things are tense. But when the president is saying, all I want to do is this, I just want to find 11,780 votes, just one more vote than we have, because we won the state. It feels like he's just trying to gin up reasons to overturn an election that I actually lost. And guys listening, I promise I will get to how Governor Cuomo is doing the same stuff, because he is. But this is a threat to the republic that's coming from President Trump. And I really, really wish he would stop. And I really wish my friends would stop buying into this stuff. Because I think, again, I said that on Friday, I'll say it again. I think it's a grift. I think this is a way to just generate some more money for himself and to kind of keep this whole scam going for a while longer. He lost. It's not happening. That thing that's happening supposedly on the 6th with Congress overturning the election or not accepting the electors from certain states ain't going to happen either. It's not going to happen at all. And luckily, people like Thomas Massey, who is well versed in the Constitution, is saying, no, that's not what the Constitution says. We, as members of Congress, we don't get to just say we don't accept the results of the Electoral College. That is a state process. That's a process that the states get to set the rules for how they select their electors. They have done so. If they have problems, they have to work that out on their own. So a group of members of Congress, Chip Roy, Kelly Armstrong, Ken Buck, a handful of Republicans, they've gotten together and they said, look, this isn't what the 12th Amendment says. We don't want Congress setting the precedent of picking the elections. All right, and it sounds like we have someone from Pittsford on the phone. Jim from Pittsford. What's on your mind, Jim?
Let's see. Would you consider that the fraudulent ballots being torn up and removed before the 22-day period a crime?
Where's the evidence of that, Jim?
There's evidence all over the internet.
All over the internet.
They just busted them over the weekend. They got photos of them doing it.
Jim, so if they had this, they would take this evidence to court. They would get, they do have some.
Where you been, Andrew?
Well, this is Kevin.
They brought it to the legislators. Did you hear the hearing? They have thousands of affidavits of people signing off on illegitimate ballots. Did you see the video of the people in Georgia in the arena who were doing ballots when there was nobody there watching them? It's illegal.
Yes,
Andrew.
there was. There were people there monitoring them. Jim, I mean, listen, man, like they brought this stuff to court. If they had actual evidence of this, it would have shown up in those court documents. You have these like vague allegations of people tearing stuff up. It doesn't actually exist. It's not there, man.
They won't let them bring it to court, Andrew.
It's still, Kevin, on the phone. You're talking to Kevin. But, minor detail, Jim.
Oh,
but,
Kevin, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So, but they've started to present some of this stuff to court, and the courts have shut it down because they said, no, there's nothing of substance here. Or in other cases, there's no standing. But I've gone over that too. Jim, I appreciate your call, but man, it ain't there. The evidence ain't there. My goodness. All right. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A-plus Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
When you've been seriously injured in a car crash, you need a lawyer who knows how to beat the big insurance companies. Call me and I'll take them on so you can focus on your health and family.
Car crash, call Salino. Salino, call Salino. 888-2020.
Main Street, Rochester. Rochester's only NCAA Division II athletic scholarship program wants you. Our Life in the Balance approach to athletics will provide you with an opportunity to succeed in the classroom and in your sport while allowing you the time to be involved with your personal interests and even study abroad. The Redhawks compete in the East Coast Conference and their student athletes excel in the classroom and on the playing field. If you're ready for the challenge of high-level athletics while earning a college degree that will prepare you for the future, visit robertsredhawks.com.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A-plus Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for joining us. And if you want to participate in the discussion again, call in 585-346-3000. And I know I have a call on the line. I'm going to get to you in a second. Just real quick, for those of you listening online, I shared an article from David French. He talks about some of the lawsuits and some of the stuff going on. And I think that's really informative about, what's actually happening here. Because most of the lawsuits that the Trump team and other folks have brought against the states really have to do with changes in the state election law. Essentially, they're saying that the changes in the state election law at the last minute require extraordinary intervention, is essentially, invalidating the vote. And basically what a lot of these judges have said, and a lot of these are Trump-appointed judges, Republican judges, they've said that if they wanted relief from this, if they wanted intervention in this, they would have had to do that before the election. So that's what a lot of these have to do with. Some of them have to do with the allegations of actual voter fraud. And as I said before, it's very difficult to overturn these because you have to prove each individual vote. You have to say, this vote should not count, or this vote wasn't counted and it should have counted. It's a very difficult and tedious process to do. But right now, they've only been able to prove like literally a couple. Like it's not a lot. All right. But I do want to get to the phone call. If you're still on the line, Gary from Hilton, still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I heard you were talking before, and you were talking to another gentleman, and I've spent some time watching these hearings from the various state legislatures that they were able to present the evidence, and they're pretty damning. You know, there's a lot of stuff. There's showing the video that he referred to shows these women taking ballots literally out of the machine after they ran them through, squaring them up on the table and putting them right back through again up to, well, in the segment I saw, it was 4 times. Same set of ballots. And the reason that these things have, you know, everybody says they've all been thrown out of court. But according to Sidney Powell, not one judge has actually reviewed the evidence. They do it on processes. You know, you don't have standing, you filed it too soon, you filed it too late. But they haven't looked at the evidence. The legislatures that have had the evidence put in front of them, including quite a few of the people that swore affidavits, the poll workers that had firsthand knowledge. They swore on an affidavit, which is the same as written perjury if it's not true. Well, that evidence, those state legislators have contacted their representatives in Congress and said, this has got to be stopped. It's got to be investigated, and we got to get to the bottom of this because it's widespread and it's massive amounts of numbers. In Georgia, Stacey Abrams' sister, who's a judge, just threw out a lawsuit to overturn 4,000 ballots that were either people that had filed change of address forms to move out of state, or were if they found their names in the obituaries. So you can't say that there's no evidence. The evidence has not been accepted. And the problem, I believe, is that they spent the whole summer rioting and burning down cities and showing everybody what was going to happen if Trump got reelected. And there isn't a judge in the country with the guts right now to allow this evidence to be seen. Now, what's going to happen Wednesday is they're going to show it in front of Congress, and then it's going to be on C-SPAN, and hopefully everybody will watch it, because there's no way you can certify this election if you know all of the anomalies and see the evidence that they have. Part of that tape the other day, they showed a document destruction recycling truck parked out in back of the arena, and garbage cans full of ballots.
All right. Well, Gary, let me ask you this. What do you think is more likely? That President Trump just lost the election in a very, very close election, close contested election, or that all these Republican judges who have supported, some of whom who have supported Trump in the past, Republican members of Congress, some in the Senate, people all across the country, Georgia's Secretary of State, Georgia's governor, all these people who have in the past said nice things about Trump, been appointed by the Trump administration, is it more likely that President Trump just lost the election in a very close place, or more likely that all these people have decided to suddenly be too scared to take a position on supporting President Trump in the face of overwhelming evidence that fraud occurred? All of these people, not just Democrats, because it's not just Democrats shutting it down, it's Republicans too. Do you really think all of them are in on this?
I just explained to you, I think they're too scared because the Democrats allowed these riots and looting and burnings and allowed people to get beat up that were just out for dinner. People saw that all summer long, and the judges saw it. And as far as people saying nice things about Trump and then changing their mind, look about Andrew Cuomo said nice things about him for a while too when he bailed him out on the COVID crisis, and then he turned right around and tried to blame him for all of his own shortcomings. So, I guess the point is that the people that have actually looked at the evidence, meaning these state legislatures that held hearings in Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, have all said you certified the election without looking at this evidence. We can't stand by it. We can't put our name on this.
So, Gary, I'm gonna have to let you go because I have another call on the line. But just to respond to your last point, Thomas Massey and that other statement that came out, and I'll share that on my Facebook page if anyone wants to look at that. They said if the state legislatures have a problem with the electors that they send, if the state legislatures, many of whom are controlled by the Republican Party, have an issue with how these elections went down, they should send a message to Congress about what evidence they have and then move forward with setting up a second set of electors. That has not happened anywhere. That hasn't happened. I can't imagine that every Republican legislature is just going to be too scared to do that. Every Republican judge. It's just not believable given what I've experienced, what we've all seen the past 4 years. All right. So it sounds like we have someone else on the line, though. Joe from Rochester. Joe, what's on your mind?
Well, thanks for taking my call. I'd like to begin at a redirect where your last caller just left off. You just mentioned, all right, that you have a hard time believing, all right, that these Republicans, all right, that supported Trump in the past, now all of a sudden, all right, that they decided not to. I think the real question that we really need to be looking at, all right, is the evidence. Okay, now, once again, evidence is only as good as the person who's looking at it. So when you're looking at evidence, you're hoping that the person that's looking at it, all right, is in a fair position and a rational mind and has enough common sense to be able to decide on what's right and what's wrong. And I think that's the problem that we're having with our judges, our panel of judges in the Supreme Court right now. And why do I say that? I say that for the simple reason that even though that these judges, yes, they do support, they say that they support the Constitution, all right, their opinions, all right, they show differently, much differently. And by dissenting on some clear-cut evidence that was provided to them, they decided to sit back and decide that, you know what, we're not even going to even look at that. But, you know, that's not the purpose of this call. The purpose of the call right now, and I think your last caller hit it off very well. It's the evidence is clear cut. Okay, I don't know what news networks that you're watching, but I prefer to watch Newsmax, OAN, and I mean, in the past, I've seen CNN and the rest of the mainstream media, all right, just tear this president apart and lie and lie and lie and lie. Everything that they were coming at Trump with was a lie. And this is not, you know, I'm not taking a position to support Trump or not to support Trump. It's not even about Trump. It's about a clear-cut violation of our Constitution. This Stacey Abrams and her sister that decided to change the voting regulations in that state, they violated our Constitution for that.
Texas did that too. They changed the voting regulations because of COVID.
Yes, they did, and that, you know, she had no authority to do such a thing. All right.
It wasn't just
you know,
them. It was.
I really don't want to go
anyway,
off on that tangent. What I really want to point out is, you know, Kevin, I was one of those guys here in Rochester that actually voted for you when I went to vote for my president, which was Trump, or is Trump. Okay. And I'm sad to say, all right, what I'm getting from you and what you're putting out to the people out here in Rochester is that you seem to be affected by the mainstream media's covering up the evidence instead of exposing the evidence. You know, I'm really disappointed. I gotta tell you the truth.
Well, Joe, I appreciate the phone call and I appreciate the honesty. I'm sorry I've disappointed you, but you know, I'm not gonna cover up the truth. I'm looking at what this is. I'm not gonna get sucked into, the cult of Trump sometimes, man. Like, guys, the dude lost. That's what it is. You know, I'll try to see if I can talk about some of the evidence specifically after the break, but it's hard to break down stuff it's not really true. All right, but thanks again for joining us. And if you want to give us a call, 585-346-3000. Thanks for being with us today.
Because you're not sheep. AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. We'll have kind of cloudy skies out there. Chance for a couple of flurries. Temps in the low 30s. On Tuesday, mostly cloudy. Temps in the 30s. There will be a chance for a few flurries around town. Better chance for a few snow showers Tuesday night. Might bring a little dusting out there. Still mostly cloudy on Wednesday in the 30s with a chance for a few flurries. I'm Rich Cadelia, WYSL.
Now is a great time to shop at Victor Chevrolet. Come see how easy it is to do business with us. Winter driving is safe and fun when you lease the 2020 Equinox front-wheel drive LS. Just $129 a month for 36 months. Or buy it for just $24,990. Or enjoy the versatility of a tough and roomy 2021 Silverado LST. Lease for only $229 a month for 36 months. Or buy it for just $43,990. Lease a 2020 Chevy Trax LS front-wheel drive for just $89 a month for 36 months. For Equinox, Trax, or Trailblazer, must have current lease and household. 10,000 miles per year. $2,500 cash or trade. First payment, tax, acquisition, and DMV fees are all due at signing for all leases. Would you prefer to buy? Save big when you buy a 2019 Trax LT all-wheel drive with convenience package, power drive seat, and keyless entry and start. MSRP $26,145. Buy it now for just $19,990. This winter, find new roads at Victor Chevrolet, Route 96 in Victor. Visit VictorChevrolet.com.
Hey, grab a pen. I'm going to give you a phone number I hope you never have to call. The number for attorney Christopher Johnson. Chris handles car and motorcycle accident cases and DWIs and serious personal injury cases. So if there's an accident or other incident, this is the number you want in your glove compartment. Ready? Here's the number, 585-415-3803. 415-3803. With this number in hand, you'll have on your side experience, individual attention to your case, and integrity, as opposed to a supposed no-fee guarantee. No attorney charges a fee until you win. Integrity is way more important than learning a lawyer calls his mom every day, or that he played Twister as a kid, or watching glammed-up actors playing ex-clients bragging about their million-dollar settlements. Just remember the number for Christopher Johnson, attorney we hope you never have to call. 585-415-3803. Stay safe, be healthy, drive sober. Christopher Johnson, attorney, personal injury, car or motorcycle accidents, DWI defense, good to know.
Did you know that the Mary Cariola Center has 6 residences that 44 individuals call home? The Community Services Residential Program has long been recognized for groundbreaking therapies and services. Mary Cariola opened the first group residence outside New York City in 1979 for children with severe developmental and physical disabilities. They also opened the first residence in the state for children with severe behavioral challenges. To learn more, volunteer, work, or donate, visit marycariola.org.
Geneseo Hardware and Rental has a new expanded location on Route 28, east of the village of Geneseo. Over 6,000 square feet with a large selection of plumbing, electrical, home and garden, and much more. Geneseo Hardware offers Valspar paint, a wide selection of rental items, plus screen and window repair. Get personalized service at the new, bigger location. Geneseo Hardware and Rental, Route 28 next to Wegmans Plaza. Visit geneseo-rental.com.
Gift certificates now available.
An experienced professional with more than 15 years in dentistry, Dr. David Olivo welcomes new patients to his family practice at 2005 Lyle Avenue. At the office of Dr. Olivo, you'll discover a warm and comforting environment staffed by professionals who are committed to providing the best available dental care while assuring your complete comfort. Call 328-3382 for an appointment. Dr. David Olivo, offering quality dentistry with a gentle touch.
Hi, Tom Hamilton here, president of Hamilton Wealth Management located in Pittsford, New York. If you have more than $250,000 in savings and investments, and you've been wondering if your investments are really being handled properly, well, then it's time to at least get a second opinion.
To meet with Mr. Hamilton, call 585-381-9870 or go to hamiltonwealthmanagement.com. Advisory services offered through Wealth Plan Partners. Securities offered through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Hamilton Wealth Management and Securities America companies are separate entities.
A free solution.
All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thanks so much for being here. And thanks again for all the phone calls we've been getting today. I love when I hear from you guys. Apparently, I got to make y'all mad in order for you to call in and talk to me. No. See, you're going to make me just want to do it more. That's what's going to happen. But if you do want to call in, participate in the discussion, I'm here until 1 o'clock. Give me a call, 585-346-3000, 585-346-3000. Appreciate the phone calls. Even if I disagree with you, it's all right. We can have a good discussion. And just kind of wrapping up some of this stuff, I did have other stuff I wanted to get to today. But wrapping up some of this stuff, again, I'm not going to, I don't have in front of me all the specific accusations. I just didn't prepare that part of the show. What I came prepared to talk about was just briefly the Trump phone call. I've mentioned it in previous episodes. I just don't have the research in front of me. A lot of these lawsuits were tossed out because they didn't have standing, or they didn't follow the process correctly. Just a lot of it was incompetent. That's blunt, but that's the way it is. It just wasn't filed very well in a lot of these cases. But a lot of it too, the judges at the state level did look at the evidence, and they just said it ain't here. There's not sufficient evidence to overturn the election or overturn even a significant number of ballots that were either submitted fraudulently or were tossed out. And these are investigations done by, again, Republican elected officials in Georgia, and then other folks in Arizona and in Wisconsin, all over the place. And William Barr, too. Again, Trump's fairly loyal attorney general said there's not fraud here. Again, what is more likely that every single Republican, even those who were very loyal to Trump, are being absolute cowards because they're afraid of people who are rioting, or Trump lost the election? As Senator Ben Sass said, and I know he's a moderate guy, whatever, he said none of his colleagues actually think there's fraud. They're more afraid that they're going to lose the elections because they're going to make their voters mad who want to support Trump no matter what, who want to believe anything he says. And, the last caller mentioned, going to the OAN and Newsmax. I don't know that for some of you I can present any evidence that you'll believe in. And I hope I'm wrong. And, I'm looking at all this stuff. I do look at OAN and Newsmax. A lot of times I get frustrated with those news sources because they don't cite things well. They don't reference things very effectively. It's opinion journalism. It's what it is. CNN is like that too. MSNBC is like that too. I accept what it is. And in fact, if you want to hear me talk more about that and figuring out news sources, I'm doing a whole show on that Friday, pre-recorded show. We're talking about fake news and figuring out what's real, the entire episode. So that one's good. Make sure you listen here on WYSL or WACK, WENY, the Patriot down the Southern Tier. Wherever you're listening, we're going to put that out Friday. Definitely listen to that one. But again, I think that the most likely solution is just Trump lost a close election. And it's kind of gross to me that, he's going out and saying, hey, just give us 11,000 votes. Just give it to us. We know we won. Just give it to us. No, that's not how a republic is supposed to work. If there was fraud, if there's stuff happening, I'm okay with an investigation. Fine. You want to do that? That's fine. But again, most of the time, when you see reports of these videos of someone putting in ballots multiple times, a lot of times it didn't scan right. Usually there's a pretty reasonable explanation for it, or ballots getting shipped off in a truck somewhere. I've seen some of those, and people are like, look, what's happening in Georgia? And it's like, oh, well, that's actually in Russia or Venezuela. So I can't, without you guys sending me specific links and Please send me links to actual articles, not screenshots of some rando on Twitter describing an incident. Send me an actual link with video evidence. I'll look at it. I look at all this stuff. I really do. And I want to give you guys an honest opinion. And that's, I care about my integrity, and I care about giving you guys the truth. This is just what I've come to conclude after researching a whole bunch of this stuff. And I don't think it's beyond, the capacity of government to absolutely, screw up an election. The American government has experienced that before. We have had a very corrupt election. The election of 1878, I think that's the one. Yeah. Was it 1878? Anyway, it is in the 1870s with the Rutherford B. Hayes, the Hayes-Tilden election. Look up that one. Actual very corrupt election. It was a mess. So, all that being said, I am concerned with stuff like this. I'm concerned with Representative Louis Gohmert saying that, the only answer now is violence in the streets. No, that's not what we do in a free republic. We move on to the next thing. Focus on building the grassroots. Focus on protecting liberty at home, at all levels of government. Because there are other battles that we need to fight. Especially Andrew Cuomo. That guy's a mess. And I want to spend half my show talking about him. But we do have another call on the line. John from Rochester. John, what's going on?
Hey, Kevin. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, John.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I heard part of some of the calls. I haven't heard the whole show, but anyways, I wanted to just make a comment on Trump. Trump's at a point of desperation. He sees the fraud that's happened and the irregularities that have happened. It's a combination of both, and it's so widespread and in these battleground states. And I guess Arizona now is a battleground state. That he's frustrated and he's pulling up all the stops right now. And I'll tell you, I watched a number of the hearings. In Pennsylvania, I think Michigan, maybe Georgia and Wisconsin. I'm not sure. I know I watched 3 or 4 of the hearings, and they were on C-SPAN. The hearings, and the evidence was pretty substantial. In the courts, I'm not an attorney, but the courts they're dismissing these cases a lot of times on as you mentioned, standing, not having standing on the issue, but they're not listening to the evidence. So I think Trump's got a heck of a case here to do what he did, to try to, out of desperation, try to pull out a last-minute miracle. But that's it. I support him 100% on what he did on this phone call. I didn't hear the whole phone call. I heard clips of it on NPR, but and they're going to present the worst part of it. So NPR is a very biased network. But anyways, that's what are your thoughts there?
Again, with the standing thing, I know that's how some of the cases are going to get dismissed. They did have the opportunity to present some evidence in some of the cases. And again, I didn't prepare myself. I should have done that. I knew this was going to come up. I didn't prepare myself to talk about the specific cases. I can link to some stuff afterwards. I don't think this is going to go anywhere. I think that after January 6th, everything's just going to move ahead. President Trump is, a month from now, is going to say that, he should have still been president, and he's going to start a TV network, and he's going to kind of ride that off into the sunset. That's what I think is going to happen. I'm fine with looking into this more, having another investigation on it, but as of right now, again, I believe that Republicans who have nothing to gain by saying that no fraud took place, I believe them. Like they would have a lot to gain politically by saying that, we want to investigate X, Y, and Z evidence. But they're not saying it's there. The courts aren't saying it's there. I don't know that there's enough to build on. I think that
you've got at least 12 senators, U.S. senators, that disagree with you, and 112 House of Representatives members that would disagree with you. So that's pretty substantial. And, you know, I try to look at things. I listen to NPR every day to try to get a balance. And, of course, I listen to WYSL, like my favorite station. But I try to get a balance, and there's a lot of evidence out there. There really is. I've been paying attention. I watched the hearings on C-SPAN, or a lot of the hearings on C-SPAN, and I did a lot of it through YouTube. So I try to educate myself on this. The evidence is overwhelming. Now, some of it, they're talking about some of the evidence sounds a little wacky, but it's a small part of it. It's pretty concerning. I'm sure it's concerning to you, to everybody in the United States. Right now, I think there's almost 40% of the voting population thinks there was irregularities or fraud. It's pretty substantial. That's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people. And to be clear, there's going to be some level of fraud in every level of election. It's just really hard to do that on a national scale or on enough of a scale to overturn even a state. Like, it's very, very difficult. You can't make it totally perfect.
But if you look at Pennsylvania, I'm not sure what happened in Georgia specifically, but in Pennsylvania, you could send ballots in with no signatures.
I mean, they had a secure process for doing it.
That is unbelievable. And what did Jimmy Carter and James Baker? Jimmy Carter was a Democrat. James Baker was Secretary of State under maybe Jimmy Carter. I'm not sure. But anyways, Jimmy Carter. In 2005, they did a study on voter confidence, and they came to the conclusion that mail-in ballots are very subject to fraud, and they basically concluded that they shouldn't be done because they're subject to fraud. And when you have a system in Pennsylvania, and I'm not sure how it was in Michigan or Wisconsin or Georgia, if you have a system where you don't even have to have a signature on the ballot, come on.
Yeah, well, John, we got to go break. If you want to stay on for the next segment, that's fine. We can keep talking for a little bit, but we do have to go. Thanks again for joining us on A Free Solution. We're going to be back in just a few minutes.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax. We would like to thank our Lord for protecting us from evil. Psalm 91 states, "He is my refuge and my fortress, for he will rescue us from every trap and protect us from deadly disease."
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys who specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results.
We are also a small firm who will treat you like family and not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
In John 8:36, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. And one way we can achieve that is by being debt-free. So let us help you today. Call us at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS tax debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A-plus Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today. We've been talking about the election stuff this whole time. I think I've said what I'm going to say on this. Y'all know where I stand. But if you do want to call back and participate in the discussion further, give me a call, 585-346-3000. I appreciate all your phone calls today and appreciate the call from John earlier. You've called in a couple of times, so thanks again, John, and go Bills. All right. Well, I wanted to get to one other thing because I think it's important. It's the other thing that's coming out. It's coming out, the threat to liberty in New York. There's a bill. Many of you might have seen it already. It's a bill number A.416. It's a bill in the Assembly, and it is a bill that would amend public health law and would allow... I'm just going to read what it says. You tell me what you think. Removal and detention of cases, contacts, and carriers who are or may be a danger to public health. Other orders. The provisions of this section shall be utilized in the event that the governor declares a state of health emergency due to an epidemic of any communicable disease. And it goes on to say that not only can someone be detained for having a case that the governor decides is this person is a danger to the public, you could even be suspected of having a case, and you can be detained. So this is totally at the discretion of the governor, basically for any suspected case of disease, being able to detain someone for an indeterminate amount of time. See, this is a type of dangerous erosion of liberty that we could see at any time in New York State. And in New York, remember, we don't really have a functioning legislature at this point. Until April, Governor Cuomo is essentially a dictator here. The legislature has very little actual power. Now, they could go and do stuff, but Governor Cuomo can go and make laws whenever it pleases him. He has full control of the process. He can change the budget. He can change the laws, whatever is necessary under a pandemic. Now, it's been pointed out to me that this assembly bill that allows people to be detained for being suspected of being sick has been proposed before, that this member of the assembly proposes this law frequently, has been doing it for a while now, and it has never even gotten out of committee. It's never even got a markup. It just nothing ever happens with it, which is actually surprising given that we live in New York State. Like, I would expect them to do something for this. Now, the folks who have been pointing out to me and to others that, well, this bill has never gotten out of committee before, why are you guys getting upset about it now? Well, we're getting upset about it now because given New York's trajectory, given what Governor Cuomo and others have done, arbitrary restrictions and shutdowns on businesses and on personal liberty, why would we not be concerned that this bill can have some legs, that this could move forward or be carried out by the governor himself? Why wouldn't we be concerned about that? It's these types of threats to liberty that we need to be most vigilant about. And this bill in particular is vague. It's unclear, how long someone can be detained. And I know it does that because, you don't know what disease it is. But no one should be detained in this manner. And no governor should be given such broad power to do that. It's these types of bills that I want to make sure that we're focusing on. I'm not one to say, and I know people think I hate Trump. I don't like a lot of what he does. That's no secret. But I don't think that he's even necessarily the primary threat to liberty. There's a lot of Democrats who are going on, he's a dictator, blah, blah, blah. Trump does a lot of dangerous, terrible things, and I'll call him out. I don't feel any loyalty to Republicans or to Democrats. But at the same time, we got to kind of focus. Unfortunately, we're fighting on two fronts here. We got Republican threats to liberty. There's plenty of those, and some of which they buy in with the Democrats on gun laws, on COVID restrictions, on restrictions on trade, and all sorts of stuff. Then we got these Democrat threat to liberties, these threats to economic liberty, threats to personal liberty, and in terms of this bill. This is the type of stuff we need to make sure that we're watching out for. And then we got Governor Cuomo. Maybe this is a small thing, but no, it's not a small thing. Governor Cuomo issued this new rule that for providers who are giving out the vaccines, if they fail to follow King Andrew's priority list, if they disregard his prioritization, they will get a fine of up to $1 million and have all of their state licenses revoked if they issue a vaccine to someone who is not in his list. What an idiotic way to approach this. He wants to have control over everything. You know what they're doing in other countries? Because here's the funny thing about the vaccine is, like, once you take it out and start, giving it to people, it goes bad pretty quick. And sometimes people don't show up for their appointments, or, they're getting to the end of the night or whatever. So they have all these doses that can just go bad. They don't have anyone around to give them to because there's no one there who fits in Governor Cuomo's priorities to give them to right away. So what they do in other places, like in Israel, is they basically say, "Hey, you pizza guy, you want to get a vaccine? Sure. Okay, yeah, no, I want to do that. I want to get back. Great, cool. Come in. You can get it." If that's what you want to do, again, I don't think you should, no one's forcing that pizza guy to get the vaccine. This is someone just inviting him in. Hey, do you want to get this? Otherwise, it's going to go to waste. We're going to throw it out. Governor Cuomo thinks he knows so much that he can dictate exactly how every little resource is distributed instead of allowing markets to do it. And remember, this is the guy who worried about vaccines not getting over to black and brown and communities in high poverty. Well, want to know a way that would be quicker to do that? It's just start getting those pharmacies to get those vaccines out. Just let people do their thing. Let the market determine how to allocate those resources effectively, because they're not going to throw that stuff out. Instead, we have central planners in Albany who are trying to micromanage how this is distributed. And they could just say, literally, okay, cool, we have a couple extra doses. You want it? There's, a patient who's in for another procedure. Cool. Actually, you can go get that. Go ahead. Otherwise, it's going to go in the garbage. So it's this type of stuff. Governor Cuomo's mismanagement, constantly, micromanagement of our economy, combined with this bill, like A416, that make me worry. It continue to sound the alarm about the erosion of freedom and liberty in New York State. We need to continue not only talking to politicians about this, but also making noise about it, resisting it where we can, finding ways in which we can have a freer and more just society. Thanks again for listening to A Free Solution. Tomorrow, Larry Sharp will be in. I'll be back on Wednesday. See you then.